Another edition of Warp Drive. This is Iflowboy, and it's about 11 o'clock in the morning, Saturday the 6th of February, I think it is, here in Brisbane, Queensland. Cleveland, to be specific, if you want to look it up in Google. Cleveland's right by the bay, the beautiful Moreton Bay here in Queensland. Anyway, wherever you are and whatever time of day it is, I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're staying COVID safe, that is. And welcome. So what am I doing today? Well, I'm going to start off by doing a bit of, as one of my mates on here calls it, money grinding, which is accumulating some credits in a nice, quick way, doing one of the particular races. But what I thought I'd do, because I've broadcast this before, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do the race in the same car, but with the car's full power settings, and then I will rerun the race at the handicap level, because I just want people to see the difference between what the car is actually capable of and what level I set the car at to maximize the credits that I get. And of course, hopefully I do the race cleanly and without hitting any walls and any other cars, so that I do get the maximum amount of credits. I think it should be pretty easy in the full spec, as you'll see, because the car is a rocket, but when I ratchet it all the way back down to the handicap level that I put it at, you'll see that it is a bit more of a challenge. So I'm just going to retry, which will restart the race. I will do some commentary as I'm talking, and of course you'll probably hear me react if I do make errors or do something that I shouldn't have done. So hold tight, and here we go. Now, the fastest car that I'm competing in, and again it's AI, it's not an online race, is a Ferrari, which, as you all would know, is a very fast car. But I'm running this, I believe, at maximum power based on the speed I'm doing. It's a Porsche 911, and I should win this race quite comfortably and in pretty quick time. It's a 15-lap race, but it is over Blue Moon Speedway, so that itself is not a long track. I think I'll cover it in around 42, 43 seconds. I'm not quite sure. I don't know whether I've even done the race in this spec before, but we'll soon find out. I always had to button on the brakes. So the trick with this race is to not make any errors, and what I mean by that is do not hit another car, do not hit a wall, and away we go. So I obviously have to recalibrate. My brakes pedal is not working that great at the moment. I did give it a bit of a clean out the other day, but I think you just noticed the brake pressure bar. I was hard on the brake pedal, and the brake pressure bar wasn't giving me full brake power. So I've just got to be a bit more careful, because I'm going to come up on these cars a lot faster. My car setup also is probably not ideal for the power I've got. I don't know, because I just jumped straight in the car, which of course is a lesson for everybody to check your specs before you enter a race. Don't do what I've just done. So I'm braking very early into turn one, mainly because I'm just not trusting my brake pedal. Again, it didn't give me full power. So yeah, I'm just being very conservative. It's going to affect my lap time, but at the end of the day, I'm going to comfortably catch the leader. At the rate I'm going at the moment, I should be right on the leader by about lap 6. You can see the brake power there. Again, the bar on the left next to the speedo, sorry, just going to dodge these guys, is not giving me the full brake power that I would normally have. It would normally go all the way up to the top. I'll slam it really hard this time. Yeah, see, if I hit it absolutely with all my might, I'm getting it, but if I just brake hard normally, then I'm not, and it shouldn't really need me to give it all my might to get that. It doesn't normally, so normally in the game, just to give you some perspective, if you don't watch the next race, basically that McLaren I just went past usually accelerates away from me at a fairly decent pace in the handicapped version of the car that I run to maximise my credits. Because I'm so much faster, I can afford to be more cautious. I don't have to do any desperate dive bombs or late braking or ridiculous lines into a corner to get to the leader at this spec. But when I'm running the handicap, I pretty much do have to run it at 10 tenths to give myself a chance of catching the leader and then staying in front. And to get back then because the car wouldn't pull up. So we're within 3 seconds of the leader. That's the second place car right in front of us now. Bugatti are on. And again, we're going to have fun here because they brake super early. Ah, no! Yeah, that's the game just trying to trick me and catch me out. They almost did. I'm not quite sure how much I will get for winning this race. I will obviously not get a handicap bonus. But I'm hoping, so far so good, that I should get a clean race bonus. That's the lead car, and you can see he's, again, this will be interesting because normally he absolutely flies off into the distance, and you'll see it graphically when we race together the next race. But at the moment I'm keeping pace. He'll brake super early, he always does, and you can see that. Again, I'm just going to be very... Oh, he just tried to push me wide. I'm just going to be very conservative. Okay, now I'm in the lead. I'm half race distance virtually. And now it's just a case of staying out of trouble. You can see the advantage that I do have at the full spec in this AI game. I don't do much AI racing. This is pretty much the only AI race that I do. A couple of my mates do another one to accumulate credit, but this is the only one I generally do, mainly because I don't enjoy the fact that the AI cars are so slow. I would much rather them be faster and it'd be harder to beat them. But I understand that you know, PlayStation and Polyphony are catering for everybody that buys the game. You know, various driving experience and skill levels. Backing out early here again. Whenever there's a couple of cars together, my note of advice for newcomers is be prepared for one of those cars to have a moment, which is all about keeping you on your toes. I haven't been making much use of slipstreams either, which will obviously improve my times. And you can see there's a graphic improvement when I sit behind that car. It's close, you didn't want to go. This will be interesting. Good, made it. I was expecting that Porsche to float up to the top then, or drift up to the top, which would turn me more comfortable. This Honda here, normally in the game, excuse me, is always a tricky car, particularly at turn 1. So if you're coming up to that blue Honda NSX at turn 1, be very careful, because he will have a big moment. And I'm going to have one here if I'm not quite careful. Oh, thank you, brake pedal. I appreciate you not working for me when I needed you most. Sounds like a country song. So we got 5 laps to go basically, and the lead is, you know, very comfortable. I'm 14 seconds up the road basically. I'm kind of driving at about 8 tenths, partly because I don't need to go any harder, and more because I'm mindful that the car at this speed, again, my brake pedal just will not give me what I want. normally in this corner I take in 5th gear at the handicapped level, but 5th gear in this car is just too fast, in this spec I should say. You'll notice that you don't have fuel and tyre wear, which is good. Sorry, my brake was locking up then because I was just basically hammering my brake so that I actually got braking. Yeah, so you don't have to worry about changing conditions of the car during the race. They will, gear change would help. They will always be, full tanks always be effectively fresh tyres. The line through here normally in handicap mode is to try and stick in this second lane. To me that, and all my races, and when you see this race then you'll see exactly how many races I've run here and how many I've won. I think I'm at about a 95% win rate. But I've done a lot of races, a lot of this race. I think I'm nearing 400 wins. It gives you an idea of how many times I've done this race. And in my experience, that second lane through turn 1, to turn 1, through turn 4, I think this is regarded as, is the best. I had to get out of it there because of the Lexus being in the way. On the subject of Lexuses, I just uploaded 2 LF LC VGT Lexus liveries that I worked on over the last few days. So if you want to jump into the Discover section and search under Iflowboy, Iflowboy, you should find them, or look under Lexus, either one. And if you like them, download them. And if you do download them, please like and repost them. I've got lots of car liveries in the Discover section under car liveries, a lot of photos too, so if you want to have a look at all of the liveries that I've done, just jump in and have a look. I haven't shared all of them, but certainly shared a fair amount of them. And this is the final lap, which is great. So we're almost there. I don't believe I've hit any walls. I don't think I've made contact with anything solid, including opposition cars. The car's just drifting out there if I try to go through there any faster. Down on the fastest lap on the... So there you go, I've had 395 or 396 wins, I apologise. So I've got a bit of experience doing this race. So I hope the tips that I'm giving you will help you if you decide to give it a crack. Now let's see the all-important credits. So yes, it was a clean race, so I get the clean race bonus. And interestingly, I've still picked up a reasonable handicap bonus of 90%. That's very interesting. So I will actually have a look at the spec of my car to see whether I was running it at full speed, because I don't believe... I'm trying to think. I think I have done the race before with full spec, and I don't remember getting that handicap bonus. So that's really interesting. Okay, let's have a look at the car setup. Let's see whether I am at full power. I believe I am. Yeah, I am too. So, where I normally run it at, and we're going to do it right now, is about here. And I put the weight up to about 105%. And you can imagine that's going to make a very big difference to the way my car will compete. Yeah, so I've pretty much got to be on it the whole time, maximising the car, because you'll see the difference in the lap times. I mean, straight away, if you remember the start of the race, I was on that Mercedes GTS AMG pretty much from the start, and he's half a straight in front of me, and I haven't really made any ground. So break point for this car at this spec is after the 100. There's a blue and a white on the walls here. You can see the blue-white. I basically brake. I'll point it out next lap, and you'll see where my break point is. I think you can see the difference in the speed now. We've almost done a lap and we haven't caught the Mercedes quite yet. I'm going to take this in 4th gear because I didn't get into 6th. I think what I might have forgotten to do, or what I didn't realise, is that I've made the gearbox a lot longer than it ought to be for this track, hence we're not getting into 6th gear. That might be a good thing actually. A nervous twitch from the gold GTS just then, we just passed. And I forgot to tell you the brake marker, I apologise, we'll do it next lap. So the lead car, that LaFerrari, I don't know if it's the LaFerrari at this stage of the race, but he'd certainly be in the top 3. It's about 33 seconds, and you'll see it ebb and flow, but it should overall ebb in my favour. Just not as significantly as it was in the previous race. Obviously at this spec, any slipstream I can get I'm going to try and take, because it will really help. So you'll see that it's about to drop. Okay, so my brake mark point is there, just where that white starts. Again, I've got to watch these cars, they're all behaving a bit nervously around me. Lap time check, I was doing 44s and then I did a couple of 43s in the last race. There I've not even been able to do a 48.5, so very significant difference in the speed of the car. And you'll also see that I'm braking late. At this spec I can actually trail brake, and I can yeah, I can do that quite deep into the corner. I don't do it at turn 1 generally because, yeah, turn 1 is the hardest corner on this track of what is really a pretty simple track. But I generally don't trail brake into this just because of the banking. There's that Honda that I talked about that's very twitchy. That's the word I'll use, it's twitchy. We shouldn't have any trouble with him through here. But at turn 1, yes, we would be taking care. So you can see I'm trail braking through there, and I'm leaving the throttle on about 5 or 10%, just to keep the car nice and steady for that turn in. It effectively saves it from rotating too much. See, somebody's joined us. For those of you who regularly watch Wharped Drive, it's my friend Shadow. For those of you that regularly watch Wharped Drive, John may join us at some point. He shot me a message or two this morning on the phone, but I believe he's got some things to attend to this morning, and this wasn't a planned edition, so he may join us at some point in the broadcast. Yeah, you can. I'm just in the middle of a race, Shadow, so it's a bit tricky for me to join you in. But if you can wait a little bit, I can certainly join you into the party. When I get on this back straight, I'll see if I can manage to jump on and add you. Almost out of the corner. Alright. Let's see. I can pause the race. There you go. That's too easy. So I'm just going to let Shadow into the room. There we go. So I apologise for the blue screen. No. Please take me back. Sorry, apologies again. Just want to make sure it's working. Yes, it's working. I already added him. I don't know why it's asking me again. Oh, and I can hear him. Good morning, Shadow.
Hello.
Alright, so we'll continue. So I'm just doing a broadcast at the moment, and I did a race before this in this Porsche, this car here. And I did it at full spec, and now I'm doing the race in my normal spec to show both the difference in the car's performance, but also the difference in the credits that you will get for the race. So how are you going? Oh, okay.
I was quite seven but people picked me up.
It's interesting. So just to give you an idea of the speed difference, easily passing these cars in the previous race, but at the moment we're about to be passed by that Lamborghini, and I'm just very wary of him, because if he comes down on me and have contact, that could blow the bonus. It almost happened. So, and here's that yellow McLaren I talked about in the first race. Sorry, McLaren. I'm approaching now, but he will catch me. There he goes. He'll start to accelerate away from me in a minute. There he goes. So you can see what happens if I have to take out the lines. The car's certainly not as comfortable, and I think those last 3 laps have been a lot slower too. 4 tenths, 6 tenths, and almost a second slower. So yeah, traffic when it doesn't work for you can really slow you down. Once I get back into the third line, things will come good again. I expect the Veneno to go flying past me as well in a minute, so we'll get into our line before he does. So we're not doing too bad. We're 7.5 seconds roughly behind the lead car, the LaFerrari, and I'm really looking forward to catching him so you can see how graphically the speed difference is between a full spec LaFerrari and my current spec Porsche, which is not a slow car. I mean, even though I've handicapped it, it's not that far off its normal standard road configuration of power and weight. So it gives you a graphic illustration of how much faster the LaFerrari is. Again, I'm trying to get those slipstreams happening. I know my gearing is too long, but it isn't hurting me too much. For those of you who are also new to the game, you may have just noticed there on the top right of the screen an airplane. So basically the glide path in to the airport that's nearby is pretty much the straight. I don't think I can get a shot of him. If he was behind us or just in front of us, you'd see him, and you effectively race the plane down the straight. I'll wait here. Otherwise, there's the leader and that's the second car. I just didn't want to take the risk then of being jammed up against the wall and losing my bonus. I've got 4 laps to go, so I've got plenty of time. Where the car makes the time is through the corners where there's braking involved, so I'll close right up on them here. I'll take off down the straight, so just try and get myself in a position so you can see the LaFerrari disappear. Off he goes. Bye. The Bugatti's no slouch, but the Ferrari still bests him. And now I'll get them. Oh no, I won't, because the BMW. Oh, this is going to be ugly. That was almost very ugly. There you go. Watch that. Watch this Ferrari just disappear. Yeah, that yellow M4 back there didn't do me any favours. Better run onto the straight, and therefore I should just be in a position to take him very easily and cleanly at turn 1, because he brakes very early because of the speed. You can see that there. He's taking the wider line, but I can still go past him on the outside. He will catch me again down here, but the gap shouldn't be that great, and I should take him into the final corner and hopefully be far enough in front to just eke my way in front of him, so that for the last lap I have enough of a lead. Yeah, I suspect you'll either send me an invite or see that there's a party going. Told people that he might join the show. There goes the Ferrari. There you go. That's a very graphic example. Sorry, I didn't flick the side camera, but there's that Honda that I talked about that's very tricky. I'm going to try and go under him, because otherwise I'd get jammed against the wall. Dodged a bullet then. There goes the Ferrari again. So it's going to be like this, but as you can see, I'm gradually being closer to him on each lap. So here I should just be able to cruise past him, even though he's sliding around. So I might. Trying to keep under that Mercedes slipstream. Traffic's not being kind to me. Not letting me have my nice clean runs out of the corners. How far back's the Ferrari? He'll be on me before the corner. Watch. Here he comes. It's just a bullet. Thankfully I can take the inside line. Oh, and the Porsche did me a favour too behind me. Held him up a bit. So I should be okay now. In the final corner. Should have a sufficient gap. I can hear a plane. Yep, that's good enough for us. Where's the plane? Can't see it, sorry. And there we go. So, best lap was a 47 something, so a good 3.5 to 4 seconds a lap slower, which is, 10% basically. But I believe I did the race clean, so I should get a good bonus in my credits. Let's have a look. There you go. So this time the handicap is 130%. The clean race bonus is always just 50%. So it comes to a total of 345,000 credits, which is great. Good mileage points as well, which is handy, because I have depleted my mileage points over the last 2 weeks. I've done quite a lot of liveries, and usually when I do a livery I go and power the car up as soon as I'm finished. So you use mileage points doing that, so yeah. I'm going to send John a party invite, because he's just sent me a message regarding a message I sent him earlier about the Summer Down Under racing. So I'll add him now, and then he can join us. I'm not planning on doing any more of those races this morning, but what I might do, if John joins the broadcast, is we might have a look at some recent liveries we've both done, and to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm firstly going to stay in my screen. I'll exit out of here, which I think will trigger me getting the daily workout car on what John and I call the Wheel of Disappointment. Yeah, let's see what happens. And yes, I am going to get a car. So we call this the Wheel of Disappointment. And the reason we say that is because often there'll be some fantastic cars here that we could get for free, but invariably 9 times out of 10 you end up getting the worst car. That's not a bad car, but it probably wasn't the best. It's one of my personal favourites, the 81 Turbo. The 85 Turbo is my favourite, for those of you who know Porsches. It was probably my favourite because I believe it was the last of the air-cooled 911 turbos, or 911s, before they moved to water cooling in the engine blocks. So, yeah. Okay, so John hasn't joined us yet, so he may be doing other things. So we'll pop into my gallery, and what I'll do is I'll just share. I'll swap to my hand controller, and we'll have a look at some recent liveries. We might as well start with the liveries that I finished this morning, and one of them was a Lexus, which I think is one of Shadow's favourite brands in the game. Would that be fair to say, mate? I know I see you in Lexus cars quite a lot.
No, it's actually Porsche.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, where does Lexus rank then in your preferred brands? Okay, there you go. So, yeah, I know that it's a very common thing to see you in a Lexus.
The reason why I chose the Lexus, and probably most people know this on my stream, is that I love the sound of the V8s.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So
who doesn't?
Yeah. So on that point, I don't know whether you have this. This is called the LFLC VGT. I don't know if you have one.
No.
I don't know if you have one, but the one thing I can tell you is that you will be bitterly disappointed with the exhaust note.
Yeah, I heard it.
I don't know why, but it's much like the McLaren F1 GTR, whereas the road car sounds fantastic, the F1. The GTR race car sounds like a Hornet, and it's not that inspiring. Anyway, we're not going to talk about the sound at the moment because we're talking about this livery. So I finished this livery this morning. The background story to this is that I actually started doing a livery on this car. I've got 2 of them. I started doing a livery on this car, which was the first one I got, I believe, at least 7 or 8 months ago. And I did about 10 or 15% of it, and then I stopped. I don't know why, but I'd never come back to it. And so the other day I got a second one. It was a gift car. I didn't buy it. And I just liked the look of it. And I thought, all right, I'm going to do a livery. And I didn't realise that I even had this second one in my garage. So when I finished the first one, I think I finished it 2 or 3 days ago, I said to myself, I know I've got another one of these. I'm going to go in and I'm going to finish that livery. So effectively what I had done was I had done the skirts in red and the rest of the body in silver, and those red insets at the front of the car. That was it. I'd done nothing else. So the rest of the car that you're looking at has basically been done this morning. I chose Motul as the major brand logo to put on the car. I think Shadow calls it sponsors. I just call them brands or logos because the company hasn't come and approached me and said, hey, we want to sponsor you, can you put our logos on your car? I'm the one making the decision to put the logos on there, so I don't refer to it as sponsorship, but I know lots of people do. And obviously I've also put some PlayStation signage on the car as well, and then obviously the Lexus brand as well. There's nothing too remarkable about this design. If we were doing our livery design index, if John was here and we were discussing it, the car itself does have a couple of tricky surfaces. You can see that there is a duct there at that front guard where air comes out, and you've also then got another duct there. So whenever you have those ducts, that makes it a bit trickier. You also have an inset bonnet, and you can see if I turn on that angle, you can see how those red and black lines run. So whenever you've got an inset surface, that also makes it a bit more tricky to do your design. There's nothing that complicated at the front, but certainly if I wanted to try and colour that front duct area where those the Lexus logo or symbol is, then that would also be a little bit tricky to do. But otherwise, the rear itself is a bit tricky because it also has some significant ducting, you can see there. So that requires a bit more work and a bit more attention to be precise. Bit of, I guess when I say that, what I mean is a bit of use of the layer tool itself, the depth and the angle tool. But also the actual bulbous nature of the rear end itself. You can see there how it converges kind of out from the side panels into this bulbous middle piece. So again, that can be a challenge depending on what you're doing. For what I did with that design and with those decal layers and shapes that I've used, it wasn't much of a challenge. Disappointing thing about this car is you cannot color code the big Venturi at the back there down the bottom, that black I don't know if it's carbon or not, I think it might be, yeah, that carbon Venturi can't be color coded, which is a shame because I would definitely like to do that. Likewise with the front grille, you can't color code that on the car, so that's another thing that, you know, I like to do, to just more do more customization of the livery. So as a car to do, I would put it in the intermediate bracket, which, you know, basically puts it in that at 4 or 5. I'll give it a 6 because it probably is at the higher end of that intermediate bracket. Now in terms of the livery itself and the things that I have done, nothing too tricky. Obviously there's a bit of shape work wherever you have a line and then an angle on a line. Whenever you have some curvature of the surface, like the line running up there to the window, that can mean a bit more time is needed. Obviously with the ducting and me wanting to run that line, and I've just noticed an actual gap in my paint that I didn't see before when I was checking it all. That's interesting. I'll fix that in a second and you can see me do it. And I've also noticed the fade coming through here, which I didn't see before. Interesting. So I have got a bit of work to do to clean up here. The challenge I'm going to have is that surface is the core paint, so I'm going to have to do a bit of work to tidy that up. Anyway, I'll do that. So I again put it in that intermediate range of livery design in terms of the techniques that I've had to use. So, you know, 5 and 5 equals 10, so it's that higher end, sorry, 6 and 6 I should say. So it's a score of 12, which, you know, ultimately is a 6, and that means it is at the higher end of the intermediate liveries. So if you're new, by all means have a crack, but certainly if it's your first or your second livery, you will perhaps find it a challenge navigating your way around the livery editor tool. So on that subject, I will jump in now and fix that little error I just noticed on the side for a start. And I'm going to have to use the alignment tool. Where is it? Oh, it's up there. Okay, maybe that's why I didn't notice it. It's so hard to see. Unless you can zoom in, and I can't zoom in any closer unless I'm in preview mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a shape, probably a vertical line like that. And the reason I've used the alignment tool is so I can get into the underneath surface there. I probably don't need to be that accurate, but I will. And the other thing to note is that's going to upset that too, isn't it? I'm going to make that shorter. Okay. looks like it's now covering it. Colour code it. And I still haven't got the coverage that I want. You still see a gap there. So I'm just going to close that gap. You can see what I mean by some of these surfaces being tricky. I could perhaps use the depth to... I'm still not happy with it because you can see there's an edge there that I don't want to be there. Now what I'm worried about is if that's bled through somewhere else. It hasn't. Good. But I can still see some silver. Okay. So I'm going to grab another decal. Again, I'm going to use the alignment tool to get in there. And that just ensures it shouldn't overlap too much or at all if I can. This time I'll go for a different shape, a circle shape. That should do the trick. Okay, good. Now there's no silver to be seen. And that's still all in line, so that's good. So now all I need to do, oops, wrong button, is then duplicate those two new decal shapes onto the other side, which is simple. Flip horizontally and duplicate, and that will land it there nicely as it was on the other side. Then I just repeat that process with the little circular shape. And there you go. Now I need to deal with the shading, which when I was doing the car you could not see. You know, I put this Lexus decal on afterwards and it wasn't there. So that's quite bizarre that it's showing up now. Got two options. I could try to put another decal over there, but that's going to be pretty tricky. My other option is to just shrink those three red transition shapes once I find them. Here we go. So it should be these three here. One, two, no, they're alternate. Okay, that's fine. So that's the first one. Now you see it took me to roof view. Do I need to do that one? Not really seeing it, but it will form part of that other line, so I'm going to have to so what I'm effectively doing now is just dragging it without upsetting the alignment. I'm just trying to drag it up higher, and that appears to have worked. So what I could do now is I could remove the other two and then use that one, but that would mean having to do the other side again as well. So these are some of the on-the-fly decisions that you need to make when you're doing a livery and you're correcting something. Is what's going to be the most convenient way to resolve an issue, and at the moment it's actually correcting each one individually rather than redoing all three on both sides. So I've gotten rid of those two, and I understand why it's happened. It's because I used the same length shape. I duplicated each shape, and obviously you can see by the line of the roof, the bonnet, that it was progressively coming forward, and so that's why those lines have gotten longer. What I will do once I finish this is I will duplicate these 3 on the other side, so I will delete the other 3 because that will be quicker. Almost there. Alright, that appears to have gotten rid of them. So now what I'll do is I'll go back down, and I know that the alternate ones, so if I call it 62, 64 and 66, I know they are the ones on that side. So I'll remove those 3 right now. And just to check things, I'll duplicate 61 straight away to become a new 62. And then I can double check it before I do the other 2 that it's okay. And it's looking okay, as it should. So I'll do the same with the next one, which is 64. So I'm going to delete that layer now, and then I'll duplicate 63 onto the other side like I did initially, and we'll double check it as well. Yep, that's resolved that. And then so we only have to remove 66 now and duplicate 65. And that should now fix that up. I will apologise to anybody that's already downloaded this livery, because I have shared it already. I might delete the original one and reshare the corrected one. I don't like sharing a livery when there's errors, whether it be bleeds or otherwise. So I normally take my time and am quite meticulous with the livery before I share it.
It's kind of funny how sometimes people say it's their livery and you look on the back and it says Iflowboy. And
yeah, well,
Jez Linko did that.
Jez was doing it for a joke. He knows. Yeah. He knows. Jez is one of our mates that we race with and play with all the time. And yeah,
that's a good modal livery. Not gonna lie.
It is a nice modal livery decal, yeah. Isn't it?
I
actually ummed and ahed, just as an aside. I actually ummed and ahed because, for those of you who've never watched my broadcast before, the way that I do my liveries is I do one side first, then I tend to do the bonnet, then I tend to do the roof. Then that way I can look at it from basically this angle, and it almost looks as though it's a completed livery, and I can decide whether I like how it's coming together. And then if I'm happy with it, I then start the process of duplicating on the other side. So when I started doing that, because of the order of the decals, I'm going to make a slight change at the back because I noticed something I was talking. You'll notice the order of the decals here on the right, and this is the layering order, if you like. The Motul logo was right near the start. There it is there on the left hand side. So when I started the process of duplicating, all I had on this side of the car was the red skirting and the Motul sign, and it actually looked really good. And I stopped for a second and thought to myself, should I actually put the black sections in? I'd already done it on the other side, but I thought to myself, should I put the black sections in? So I spent a bit of time doing this. Which did I actually like? You know, did it suit the car? Did it? And I sort of made the decision that because the black tinting of the windows is so severe, that the black is still the better way to go. If the windows had been normal tint, I probably would have left it as all silver and removed the black from this side. But until you put it on there, you don't know. So that's why I do the left side first, and it's quicker than removing two sides of decals. If you do a design and you don't like it, at least you only wasted half your time. I won't say wasted, but obviously you've spent time that you won't get back, and you have to redo it. Okay, so I'm going to try and fix what I think it's an issue, at the rear end, just under the tail light there, where I think I might have had a bit of black bleed. So I'm going to put a half circle up there, small one, oops, wrong, rear, on either side. I'll show you, it's above that Gazoo Racing, on right near the guard, just in there. You can see right in there. I'll shrink this down, but you can see how it bleeds through. See that? You can see on either side. So that's probably how it's bled through in the first place. Just being careful because I don't want the red to bleed through to that other side that I showed you. So if I get this like that, that should be all I need to do. Although I see a little bit at the top there, so I might need to go a bit more. And also mindful that I don't start to protrude over the Gazoo Racing decal, because I'm right on the edge of it. I could move it to be below it if I need to, and I'll show you in a second how I do that. So you can see now I'm protruding over the Gazoo Racing. So the quick fix there is I grab it, click move layer, move it down to where these Gazoo Racing, so that's them there, you can see their crosshair pointing at it, put it there, and then bang, magically it's not a problem anymore. And now that I've done that, I'll duplicate it on the other side, and then that should all be good to go now. So apologies to anybody who's already downloaded. Oh, I should have just thought of something else. Okay, what do I want to do to fix that? A quick fix would be to put another decal across it, like this. And it's probably a smarter thing for me to do anyway. So I'm going to go to roof mode. I'm going to select a bow shape, if you like. That one's probably the better one to go with. I'm going to colour it. I think I'll go with red. And then I'm going to manipulate the shape so that it gets bigger firstly, because I want to cover those black and red lines. I'll straighten it up a bit. It's about almost the right width. It's not dead center. I'll move it a bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to distort or bend it so it's the right shape for me to get right to the end of that lip, boot lip or whatever. You can see I'm still not dead straight or dead in the middle. Bend it a bit more, make it straighter. I might shorten it a bit too. Now this is likely going to bleed over the edge, but that's okay, I can fix that. And I think do that, move that. Let's see how much it's bled over. Yeah, you can see it's very uneven too. That's weird. That just means that I'm crooked. Still significant bleed, so I'll see if I can pull it back so that I don't need to. Yeah, you can see straight away I've got it on the edges. Alright, so you can see it's still not doing what I want it to do because I don't have it straight enough. I need to bend it or straighten it more, so I'll do that first. Okay, that's okay. Gotten rid of the bleed, but now I've got to push it back, which will make it bleed again. Alright, I've achieved what I want in terms of the coverage. I can even make it a bit shorter. I think that will be okay. Let's see if we can get rid of the bleed. Maybe I should have done an align with camera, but I do have another idea. It means another decal, but I've got plenty to spare in this car. I've only done 161, so I'm going to go for the rear. Oops, and I'm going to align with camera in the hope that I'm going to use the same shape again. Spin it like that. It's interesting, from this angle it looks like everything's covered, but when you go from a different angle it's not. All part of the fun. Apologise for the 1970s lift music you can hear. This is in-game music, and I obviously respect any copyright. This is the game playing, not me. Yeah, I should have turned the music off actually. Certainly not my choice of music. So I'm just being really careful here to get this right so that almost there. I may have to move the Lexus decal a bit, I think, but that's okay. And I've still got a bit of tidying up to do at the ends as well. That's the easy part. Okay. Well, from any angle now, you don't see that untidy ending. What we do though, see, is that we need to put a nice little end bits on either side. Johnny hasn't joined us, so I don't know whether that means he's in the middle of doing a livery himself, or he's racing, or he's just doesn't feel like chatting. It's the weekend, it's Saturday morning. People may have other things they prefer to be doing than talking to me or on the broadcast. Okay, make it a bit wider. Alright, there you go, we have a winner, as they say. Alright, the other thing I was doing earlier too is going through my library. For anybody that's done lots of liveries, one of the things that you become conscious of is the decreasing or diminishing memory that you have for more liveries. And what happens with me is I used to create two versions of each livery. One would be my own unique one, and the other one would be one I would share. And the idea of that is that I would know, or be able to prove in a car show more specifically, that it was in fact my livery that somebody else was driving around in if I had to, only for the purpose of a car show. Otherwise I don't really care. People can grab my liveries and, drive them every day, do whatever they like with them. But when I'm in a car show, obviously I don't want somebody else being in the car show with the same livery and me not being able to prove it's mine, because obviously if it's mine I can tell them to go and change it, and if they don't I can delete that livery and that fixes their wagon. Yeah, I mean, I've never had it happen, and I'm sure that if I did have something happen and I asked the person to do it, I'm sure they'd do it. No point being in the exact same car in a car show, because you're going to have the same result as somebody else. In fact, it'll probably work against you, because the judge will be like, well, I can't award first to two different people. I mean, you can, but most judges won't. So, yeah. Alright, I think this is now good to go. save it again, and then I'll go into my library for the purpose of doing a bit of that housekeeping that I started talking about, and that housekeeping is removing any previously saved versions to free up your memory or your slots for car liveries. I went earlier, I think I got rid of about 20 or so that I doubled up on. There's more in there, I know, but because I've got so many, it was tricky. It was tricky trying to match them up through the long list of cars, because they all sit, each image sits there, so you have to scroll up and down, and I think I've got something like 700 liveries in there, so you can imagine there's lots of scrolling. The other thing that going through and doing that housekeeping might do is it might help with this part of it, which is the uploading, because I believe this is a function of how much space in the Sony PlayStation / Gran Turismo Sport cloud storage you have left, and using my own technology awareness, because I run a technology company, that makes a big difference. The more files you've got sitting in a storage repository, your RAM and your hard drive have to work together, and it has to search through more files to either locate or find a file, so the less you can have, the better. Okay, so I'm not going to reshare it, I don't think, at this moment in time. I might do that later on. I might remove the other one, but for now I'm going to jump out of here for a moment, jump into the library, and then you can see what I'm referring to. Hi Lewis. And oops, if I can get my controller to play ball. There escapes photos there, but you can see here my list of liveries, and you can see I've got 2 there. If I delete that, whoever's downloaded it will lose it from their library of liveries they can use, so I might not do that yet. Oh, that's okay. That's a livery that I was trying to do something for one of my mates that I play with, a gentleman called I Am Thrimpy is his user ID. We know him as Sam, and he was trying to do, well, he had done it, a particular style of decal around the rear wheel arch of a Porsche. I don't know why I'm going into this mode when I can go into full mode to show you, but and he used a lot of decals effectively to, I'll get out of here, I don't know why I did that. Let's go into here and let's get out of here now that I've seen that. I'll come back to it. Livery editor. Oh, okay. Don't know why the editor does that. Sometimes Porsche will be on the left and sometimes it'll be all the way on the right side. I need to find that. There it is.
Sorry if I'm yawning too much.
Sorry?
I'm yawning too much.
Oh, well, I couldn't hear it. I could hear some microphone noises before, but not yawning sounds.
That's probably it.
Yeah. So yes, he was creating this effect around the rear wheel arch, and he'd used about 37 decals, and I said, oh, let me have a try. Now this isn't actually fully finished. I really should be putting probably 3 more decals on that. So where am I at? I'm at 21. So I think I would need to put another decal, if I can in fact go back. If I can do it this way, it'd be better. I think I need one here. I'm just aligning the camera so I get it where I want it to be.
Is that for like a wide body kit or something? You're trying to do?
No, I think he was just trying to accentuate the rear guard. I think that's what he was trying to do, you know, in terms of all the other decals that he was putting on.
Looks good. Either way, looks good.
So that one takes care of that. I think, I don't know if I need another one there. I know he said that it came up, so to make it come up the way he was referring to, I can add another decal there. Rear, I'm going to align it with camera this time as well, because that just helps follow the line that I want. The shape that I'm thinking of using is what I call a crescent moon shape. Probably that one. One of the challenges, with these shapes is retaining that pointy end when you distort it. So you can see I've lost that pointy end because I made it go longer.
Like a banana.
Yeah, it's not the ideal.
Yeah, it looks like a sausage.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I could use a curved line, but even that's not going to have a pointy end. So what I'm probably better off doing is sticking with this.
It doesn't have to be perfect, but
Oh, well, I mean, it does in a way, because you want it to look nice. You don't want it to look, crappy. Alright, I'm going to leave that there for now in white, and I'm going to grab another one. A different shape. One of the bows I think I'll go with.
I've got a question.
Yes.
Earlier in the year, I forgot when you said it, it was a BMW VGT race, and I said I'd be up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know when they will start up, or do you need more players?
Ultimately, yeah, I do. I mentioned it to a few players the other night on, I think it was Sunday last week actually, and a few of the players mentioned that they were interested, but it wasn't like every single player went, oh yeah, I'll be in that, I'll be in that. And for me, if you're going to run a series, to me you need to have at least 8 cars, at least 8. Otherwise it's... Yeah, there wasn't a huge. So look, it's something that I still want to do. What I actually want to do is I actually want to run it as a day event, if that makes sense, where we would all log in, and for the next 2 or 3 hours we would just do 5 or 6 races at different tracks. That's what I ultimately would rather do, rather than. Oh, as in the time of day of racing, or as in do it at night time? What do you mean by night time?
Like, what do you mean? Like, when you hop on the PlayStation and it's like 9 AM in the morning? Do you mean something like that? Or?
Well, my thinking was originally that it would be something I'd do on a public holiday. So, it might be a Easter Friday or an Easter Monday or something like that. Not necessarily then, but just something like that where it's a public holiday. Ideally the Australia Day would have been the perfect one for it, which is why I think I mentioned the idea a couple of days out. But the other one could be like an Anzac Day kind of thing. So yes, I'm not thinking of it being a Saturday as per se, but But the idea was that, and when I say day, it could be like from 12 o'clock in the afternoon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, that, it kicks off and it runs through to 8, 9 o'clock. I don't know. I haven't, written anything down or had a firm...
I was just curious, man.
I haven't got a firm plan, if that's the right term to use. That's too much for turn up. I don't think you needed to turn up like that. Trying to get it to unbend.
Like, I'd be happy to run it with you.
Well, I don't need... I wouldn't think I'd need anybody's help to run it. It's just, okay, guys, here you go. This is the race. It's race 1. We're at wherever we're at. Tokyo, Sardinia, lacrosse, whatever it is. Everybody jump in. We'll qualify for 10 minutes, and then when the race is run, I just quickly write down who finished where. And, yeah, we go to the next room.
Until we're all done.
Yeah.
Will there be any support categories or just the VGTs?
Just the VGT, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Because it's not like I want to go and launch a series that you have to come back and race every week. It's just like an event that you run on a day and then it's done,
I really wanted the Summer Down Under series to be on a Saturday night, Because for me, I gotta go to work very early. And Jordan's like, yeah, okay, we'll do it Saturday. First time I heard the news, it was Sunday. I was like, what? Man.
Yeah, well, again, I don't. I think the challenge with the Saturday night is that people generally will have things going on in their life that involve some kind of social activity with family or friends, and normally Saturday night's the most likely night that happens. So I think in terms of getting your numbers, running an event on a Saturday night is probably the worst night to pick. So
Friday's the same.
Yeah, Friday's a little bit different. Because if you think about it, people coming home from work, they're far less likely to have a commitment to do a family event or a formal function than a Saturday night. And then obviously, weeknights, people are generally just home, so it's much easier to do it on a weeknight. Provided you don't run it too early and people struggle to get home from work. Which is what happened with M&R, because Matt wanted to run it on his schedule because he doesn't go to work on a day job, I don't think. So for him, starting it at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock New South Wales time was a very reasonable thing to do. This isn't working for me at all.
On Tuesday, thingy.
See, I think I've gone too far with this. I don't think it needs to be all the way over there. Let me bring it back.
Well, I was thinking of doing a V8 car liveries, which is replica tours and having Mustang and Corvette. Group 3.
Okay.
Because the Camara's coming in.
Were you watching the broadcast last night, by the way?
Of V8 supercars.
Yeah, of Jordan's Finger Friday.
No, I wasn't watching his stream at all.
Oh, I wish you had have been.
Mate,
Because he made quite a few comments about you that would have been really good for you to hear them.
About me, specifically?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because it would have
Were they rude,
answered.
or were they...
No, not at all. They would have answered some of the questions you had. You would have got the answers that you were chasing.
I had nothing. What were the questions anyway?
Well, you know that you and I have spoken about you and Jordan and where things are at. Well, he basically said things that clarified very clearly how he feels and where things are at and whatever, so yeah. I reckon that's what I want. I'm gonna, whoops.
I'm guessing that's all he said.
Pardon?
I said I'm guessing that's what he said.
Well, he basically said that... what am I doing? Seriously, Sean. He basically said that he likes you. You and him, your personalities are perhaps too alike. But that he's more than happy to have you in a room, provided you behaving yourself, basically. So...
Yeah, you said that on stream, which is why I didn't watch it after that. I only just watched his intro, and yeah, that was about it. Because I think Friday just gone, I was streaming as well. So yeah.
Alright. I reckon I'm done. So, I've done it in 26. Whereas Thrimpy said he needed 37 to do it. And again, it's just, all it's about is how you make the shapes work for you. It's just, just interested to see whether it was a quicker way to do it. Now, Thrimpy might come back and say, oh no, it's a bit different to what I did and whatever, but I think it essentially achieves the same thing. Very similar in my mind to what he was trying to do. Now I'm tempted to actually do this livery while I'm in here. Actually, you know what I do want to do? And I'm just going to, firstly, if I'm going to do it, then I have to change colour. That's the first thing I have to do. And then I have to grab a decal to see what it looks like, because it wasn't really the car I was planning on doing this for, but I want to see this, see whether it works.
Okie
Hey?
I said okie dokie. I don't know why I just spoke Irish, but never mind. Can't help it.
I was thinking of making a box of matches to go with this livery when I did it.
GT Sport, any Gran Turismo, had more Australian cars.
Yes, I think that's a widely held desire of most players that I know that play the game. I think in Europe they'd probably say similar things about a lot of the Europe cars that aren't here. No, I don't want to do that. Come back down here. Maybe I need to move it.
Oh, like race car wise, you know, like the old AUs, the 351 GTs. Like, if they have like an LMP one from 1989, why can't they have the old school V8 supercars?
Good question.
Like I know it's like Gran Turismo doesn't want every single car in the game, but I would do it. I'd make it. Be more like classic GT titles. Says Canozzi, Yamaguchi.
Actually, I can make this now that I've done this decal. I can actually make it work for me. What do I need? I need the.
Why would you call your Chihuahua Pudgy? That's what I want. I want to look up what Pudgy means.
I think it means overweight, doesn't it?
No, the dog's skinny.
Yeah, but I think it means overweight. I think.
Yeah, I'm about to look it up. Of a person or part of the body rather fat is pudgy. But this thing's a Chihuahua and it's skinny and they've called it pudgy.
Happens.
It's like calling a freaking Chihuahua Zeus. You expect it to be a big dog, like. Why? That's 2021, unfortunately. It's their dog. I'm guessing you do this every Saturday, this thing?
Not every Saturday. I wasn't planning to do this broadcast because John and I hadn't talked about doing a warp drive, but because I started doing the race and the car was at full power, I went, oh, you know what? I should do a quick video showing the difference between the full power and the handicap power. So that's why I did the broadcast. Otherwise, I wouldn't have actually done it. I'm just making a flame. I don't know if you're watching the broadcast still, but I'm just making a flame.
Yeah, I'm not anymore. I'm trying to pick it out. Trying to find that Porsche Carrera livery I just found.
Doesn't look too bad either, actually, I gotta say.
I think that's
not bad.
Neck.
I did that on. I woke up on Tuesday mornings with a really sore. I fell asleep on the lounge, and I woke up with a really sore neck.
Let me guess, it was fantastic.
What? What?
That's being sarcastic.
Oh.
Ow. I know what we could do.
What?
Instead of super trucks, we can get a 911 RSR and put Porsche Carrera Cup liveries on.
Oh, I know what I've done. I just worked it out.
What'd you do?
I thought I duplicated decal, but I hadn't. I just moved it. And I'm sitting there going, how's that happened? I'm really, I'm actually quite stoked at how effective this flame thing looks. I haven't tried to do it before, but I'm actually quite impressed. Okay, that's that.
Trying to find your stream again. Okay. It's a weird looking flame.
Uh-huh.
It's a weird looking flame, but it looks cool.
No, if you look at it from the side, like that, right, it's not going up, it's going sideways.
So you trying to do a redhead livery?
Yeah. I've been wanting to do one for ages and I just haven't got around to doing it.
Are the flames for more speed, like a rocket?
Oh no, the flames are denoting a match being burnt,
I
basically.
know, I'm just being stupid. You know me.
I was toying with the idea of actually making a match. I'm going to see if I can. I should be able to. Trick is...
Do that on the lady.
No,
Have a cigarette coming out of the mouth.
no, I don't want to do that, because I just... Yeah.
I should talk to Jordan Brook about that. Having a 911 RSR Carrera Cup race deliveries. Or something close to it. That'd be pretty cool though. In my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I guess no one likes them.
What? Porsches?
Well, some people do, but you know what I mean. Not everyone likes them. On a different YouTube clip, there's a girl that sent something to the employee, and the person says, "You're my boss, why would you send me this? Oh my god, wrong number, show anyone and you're fired. How about that promotion? Nope, you're fired now." Obviously this person's not getting that promotion.
Wow.
Savage.
Indeed.
That's what we call savage love.
Sure was.
Imagine being that person just reading that text going, what the fuck is my boss on? Oh, that'd be weird, to say the least. Is that match a decal, or did you make that?
I'm making it right now.
If you made that, that's pretty realistic.
Yeah, it's not quite there yet. I need a different colour.
I can't see how many viewers you got. It looks like it says 8.
Says 2.
2, okay.
Says 2 people are viewing at the moment, but I don't know.
Hello to the second viewer.
Yeah, hi, whoever it is. Welcome. I'm just playing around with making a match. I want to do a fade, but I don't think I'm going to get the effect that I need quickly enough with a fade. So by the time I compress this down, so now okay. Doing what I want it to do. Hey?
I said, wow.
What?
I'm just watching a video on YouTube saying that the sun doesn't have enough mass to go supernova when it does die. Even 15 light years away.
The good news is that hopefully we won't be around to worry about it.
Well, they just
Because
said...
I don't think I want to be around when it does that.
Astronomers just said that even if a supernova explosion 50 light years away could wipe out entire life.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
A half decent solar flare could do us in. You know, if the sun spits out, say, a solar flare that's, say, 5 times bigger than the biggest one recorded, we're toast. We'd all just be zapped.
They're getting hit by solar flares like small
Well, we get
flares,
the
though.
solar radiation all the time because there's always flares. But what I'm saying is, if I think was it Neil deGrasse Tyson or one of the shows that he was running where he talked about the fact that it only needed to be about 7.5 times the biggest one ever recorded, and pretty much the radiation would kill us all. So nice to know that that we're in such a fragile solar system.
Haley's comment.
So that match looks alright, doesn't it?
Hey,
I think it does.
I have seen that comment once.
Which comment?
Haley's comment.
Halley's Comet.
Yeah,
Right.
I've seen it once.
Okay.
So, if I make it in 75 or 76 years time, I'll see it the second time before I die.
Yeah, well, supposedly every 76 years. So I'm not going to say. When is it due to come back? When did it
Well,
come?
I've seen it once.
When did it come last?
I
I
don't
thought it was
know.
in 1990 something, wasn't it?
No,
I can't reach my phone to look it up.
but you'll see it in 20 or 30 years time. 2061, there we go. Would be the second time.
So another 39 years. 40 years.
Yeah, so I'll
Another
be
40 years.
62. I'll be 62.
I'll be bloody old. I'll be in my 90s.
Shit.
If
Yeah.
I live that long.
On April 13th, 2029, an asteroid called 99942
Levy?
Popis will pass
Oh,
between
Popis.
the moon and the Earth. Huh?
What about Schumacher Levy? That's the one I like.
If that asteroid was to come between the moon and the Earth, I'm pretty sure Earth's gravity will go, oi, come here, fucking bang.
Nah.
Well, hopefully not.
No, it wouldn't. Well, sorry, let me correct myself. If it's travelling at, say, 50 kilometres an hour, then yeah, for sure. Depending on the size of the asteroid, for sure.
Well, they
But
just
if
said
it's travelling
three.
if it's travelling at like 80,000 kilometres an hour, no chance.
Well, they just said it's the size of 3.5 football fields.
So 300 metres wide. Yeah,
Yeah,
what
that's
speed?
crazy.
What speed is it travelling at?
I don't know, they haven't said it yet.
Yeah, well, it'd have to be going pretty slow. You know what I do want to see? I want to see something smash into the moon. Nothing big, just enough for it to be visible.
It will miss Earth by 31,300. Wow, that's extremely close. Kilometers. That's actually closer than some satellites which orbit the Earth at 36,000.
You sure we've got satellites that orbit at 36,000 kilometres?
They just said it.
36,000 kilometres.
Yes, on YouTube they just said it.
No way. I
I
can't
shit
believe.
you not.
I can't believe we have something orbiting that far out.
Mate, I'd be fearing for my life. Number 8 solar eclipse. What?
36,000 kilometres. That's like 8% of the way to the moon.
Well, this is.
Well,
I
actually-
see solar eclipses.
No, actually, it's more than that. So the moon's 240,000 k's,
240,000.
or is it miles? 240,000 miles, isn't it?
No, that'd be American.
Well, it's 240,000 miles or kilometres. I can never remember.
Hey,
So
get this.
36,000 kilometres is a third of the way there.
They just
Well,
said
Seventh of the
number
way
8
there.
solar eclipse. What year was it? Did they say? So it says somewhere on Earth each year, but 2020 has a very special solar eclipse in store. Huh? I don't get this. I don't get science. Yes. I know how solar eclipses. So it's between 2 to 6 minutes, but the longest solar eclipse to date lasted 7 minutes and 28 seconds. It happened around 743 BC. How do you know this?
Because they just do the mathematical calculation to work out when it last happened.
Yes, but that's... oh my god.
Well, it's simple, right? We are effectively on a fixed plane of a certain nature to the sun and all other celestial bodies in our solar system, right? So we know how fast we hook around the sun, we know how fast all the other celestial objects move around the sun, we also know which planes they're on. That therefore makes it possible to calculate out that stuff.
And they just said that the 7-minute solar eclipse
Yep.
will be on the 16th of July
2021?
2186.
Oh, well, I don't have to worry about it, do
Lovely.
I? I don't have to worry about it. 2186, that's 160 years away. 65 years away.
And so they said, so instead set yourself a reminder for Monday,
They'll have had
2nd
to
August
have
2027.
significantly advanced cloning of organs and 3D printing of organs. And I would have been on my third or fourth heart by that stage.
Yeah. And they
And my skin would look rather wrinkly.
And they said 2nd of August 2027 when the longest solar eclipse will happen. So that's 6 minutes and something. 6 minutes and 23. So that's number 8. What's number 7? Supernova.
So what are they saying about the solar eclipse? That it's going to cause catastrophe on Earth?
No.
What?
Twice. What's a century? Is that a year?
No, century is 100 years.
Oh shit. So on average a supernova goes off twice a century in a galaxy the size of a Milky Way.
Yeah, well that would make sense if you think about it.
So technically the Milky Way is a supernova then?
No. Well, no, they didn't say in the Milky Way, they said the size of the Milky Way. I don't know if whether one has gone off. I would imagine that if it had, we would have known about it in the last century. But again, I think about it, we may not have had the technology to observe it if it happened like at the start of the 20th century.
Wow. In 1987 that was the last supernova spotted explosion wise.
Well, there you go. So obviously,
And it was one of the brightest exploding stars in more than 400 years.
well, yeah, of course it would be.
Next supernova occur will be visible from Earth in the next 50 years. Oh, lovely. Of course it will be visible to the negative. Oh, God.
Why is this so hard? I know why it's so hard. Because of that.
So on the 22nd of November 2065, Venus will pass directly before Jupiter and form a single bright star low down.
Cool.
So RB66 probably dead by then.
I don't think so. 66. You gotta remember that you're 23 or whatever you are now, in another 50 odd years of medical advances that we haven't seen yet. Can you imagine what things they'll have figured out by then? I went to a conference back in 2014 down in Melbourne, and one of the speakers they got in was a guy talking about advances in medical technology. And what he said was that in the next 5 years, with the genome sequencing discoveries that they're making, is that they're predicting that what you'd be able to do is take your age, and whatever age you are, you could add on a year for every year therefore after of your life expectancy. So if you were 40 and the average life expectancy was 70, what he's saying is effectively you could double that and basically say you could live to 100.
Well, hang on.
And if you were 25 and the average expectancy was 70, that's an extra 45 years, so you'd add 45 years onto it. So you'd live till 115.
You just said double, so how does that work?
Yeah, for every year, you can add another year, right? So theoretically, if you're 25 and the average life expectancy was 70, right? That's 45 years. No, hang on. That means the current gap is 45 years. So you take that 45 and you double it, which gives you 90. 90 plus 25 equals 115.
See.
If you're 10, you take 60 and double it.
Okay.
So you'd be 130.
And guess what? In 2031, a meteor shower will happen.
Yeah. What kind of soap do they recommend we use?
Rocks. So all 8 planets will be aligned.
Pumice stone, I'm guessing.
Well, I'd be dead long then. In 2492, all the planets will be aligned.
Yeah. Bound to happen sooner or later.
And frozen corpses will be back to life, apparently.
Frozen corpses? Alright.
They'll be back to life. So of Mars, Mercury, Venus...
Why would they bring frozen corpses back to life then?
Well, the first one will happen in 2040, apparently. Well, not all of them. Come on, supermoon. I've seen this. I've seen supermoons in Perth. 2016. No, our one was 2014, you idiot. I've seen the supermoon loads of times in Perth, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't happen in a century like
I like
the
I like the blood moon. When you get a blood moon, they look.
Oh yeah.
We had one here. When did we have one here? We had one here only about 9 years ago. Yeah, about 2012, 2013 we had one.
Do you know how you said 140,000 kilometers away? That's when it's
240.
actually... Well, when it's 140,000, that's its closest.
I didn't know the moon got to 140,000.
Yeah, that's how close it gets.
In miles? You talking miles or kilometers?
No, you just said kilometers.
The moon gets to within 140,000 kilometers of Earth.
Wow.
Sure? That would make the orbit elliptical. It's not an elliptical. It's not an elliptical orbit.
He just said elliptical. What the hell?
Did he?
Yeah, this is crazy. What?
You sure?
Positive. So apparently, at some point, we're going to move to Mars. Now, number 2. Facts.
Well, you know they
Probably,
last year they actually sent.
Yeah.
There's a mission that is due to land there. Right about 20th of Feb, I think it is. It's due to land. The Mars probe, which has got a helicopter and a terrain vehicle that will grab specific samples in an effort to bring them back so that we can study them to determine if there was life there, which in turn should indicate that we could, you know, effectively create life on there again. We can do it. We can do it.
So
but
we've got
to go to the moon first. We've got to set ourselves up on the moon first.
They just confirmed in 2394 Mars will be colonised by us.
20 what?
I can't even say the word. We'll
Colonised. Colonised
Yeah.
is the word. But when?
2394.
Nah. Be doing it before then.
When was this actually made? Because I don't believe this. 3 years ago, 2017. Oh my god.
It'll be before then. I can guarantee it. We will have something established on Mars before the end of this century. There'll be people living on the moon within the next 10 years. Because we have to get. We can't get to Mars until we have something set up on the moon, because it's just too hard to get away from the Earth. You go to the moon, which is 1/80th of our gravity, I think it is 1/80th. Can't remember the exact figure, but I think it's 1/80th of our gravity, right? That means you need 80% less of everything to take off. So you think about that from the perspective of a vehicle, a space vehicle, and how much more it can carry if you only need 800%. Sorry, less fuel. Your whole type of craft and how you take off and land can be different. It can be like a normal. You can effectively have it like a normal aircraft, because you don't have to make this ultra super sleek thing that has massive fuel tanks to get you somewhere.
Yeah.
We could fire. Just imagine an Airbus A380 or a 747 could take off from the moon in about 8% of the current required runway.
Well, how would that be possible
with only about 8%?
with no gravity?
8%. What do you mean no gravity? There is gravity. Did you not see them land on the moon? Did the vehicle not fly away when it landed, or bounce off the moon and go hurling back into space? Everything has gravity. You have gravity. It's just infinitesimal in comparison to a celestial object, but we all have gravity. It's just the force of physics, the way it works, right? So something that has a mass will stay on the surface of the moon, but it's got way less gravity because it's so much smaller. The same with Mercury. Mercury is smaller than Earth, so it actually has less gravity. But the point is that so a jumbo, would basically only need 8% of the fuel that it uses to take off now on Earth. And if you imagine, at the moment a 747 can pretty much fly for about 16,000 k's before it ran out of fuel in Earth's gravity.
Well,
right.
747.
So imagine taking off in space with a vacuum, get yourself up to 400 knots, and you're just going to keep going.
Well, 747 fuel capacity has 238,604 litres.
That's right.
And it's got 10
and it's stored in the space of the central part of the wing structure and the undercarriage, right? So that's all the space you need. So imagine if you've got zero gravity in space in a vacuum, how far that fuel would take you. And then you think about all that room in that plane. The shuttle sat on the back of a 747. and its payload area was tiny. So that's what I mean. Like, being on the moon is a total game changer for our space exploration, and it's kind of sad that the authorities didn't tweak to this earlier and went, you know what we need to do? We need to actually establish a colony on the moon, because that's how we can do all of the travelling we've got to do.
Well, how is there gravity on the moon?
Yeah, of course there is.
When the flag was flying and everyone's saying it's fake, I don't know what to believe in.
Well, so why would wind have anything to do with gravity?
Well, wind is
Wind's not gravity.
gravity.
No, wind's not gravity. Wind is wind. Wind is just air pressure changes causing air to move.
I don't know what to believe in anymore. Anyway.
I think what somebody might have said to you is that you need to have an atmosphere to have wind, but that's not true at all. We already know that there's solar wind.
Well, yeah, but how did the flag move on the moon? That's what I'm still trying to question or figure out.
Okay, so we know there's no gravity, and we understand what gravity is, and we understand what the core fundamental of physics is, which is an object will stay in motion unless acted upon by an equal and opposite force, right? So you're Neil Armstrong, and you pull the flag out of the bag or the box or however it was stored. You walk over to where you're going to put it in onto the ground, and you put it into the ground and you're pushing it down into the ground. What's happening? What's happening at the flag end?
Friction.
What else? At the flag end, it's
I'm
wobbling.
not good at science.
It's wobbling around. You know, get your shirt, or what can you? Have you got a mop or something nearby? Try and stick the mop into the. You know, just tap it on the floor and watch what happens to the mop part at the top. So turn it upside down so the handle's pointing down at the ground. Tap the mop on the floor and watch the mop part itself, which is now up in the air. It'll move. And because there's no little gravity there, I won't say no, but because there's very little gravity, the flag keeps moving.
Anyway.
You just remind me, I haven't had any need all day.
Yes, I finally updated it.
What?
My supercar's out.
Excellent. Good to hear.
Yay! AAA reveals Super 2 liveries, the Pit Box livery and the Boost Mobile Red Bull livery of Brock Feeney. Fucking brilliant.
So they run 4 cars now. Well, these are just customer cars.
2 in the Super 2, 2 in the main game.
Oh, okay, the Super 2. Sorry, I missed that bit.
So, well, Aaron Seaton's gonna be in Super 2 in MSR. Because he's a TA2 bloke if you watch the Bakersville and
You watching the broadcast? No, you're not, so you can't see this portion I'm working on.
no.
I'll see what they can do with these wheels.
Since no one's in a bloody lobby, I'm just gonna go back on CarX.
So CarX is a PlayStation game, is it?
Yeah, but you have to buy it online.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm not going to buy it because I don't like drifting, but I was just
Pretty
curious.
easy to drift on a wheel, but you have to have steering assist on.
Yeah, it doesn't interest me. Like I say to anybody that asks me the question, why would I want to get on a racetrack and go around it as slow as I can?
I don't know, would you?
No, well that's what drifting is.
But they do have a racing There's three types of change you can do. You've got ultimate, which is your drift. You've got your turbo, or you got your racing. So you could technically choose three.
What? Oh, okay. I hardly ever drive this 911 GT3 RS.
Don't you?
No, I always drive the older ones.
I see. Look, they need TCM in them.
Or the Cayman. That's probably the car I Porsche drive the most. The Cayman, the GR4.
I'm hungry. Oh my god.
I am too. I might jump off this broadcast in a minute so I can get something to eat. Sorry, people. Sitting here talking about rubbish while we're broadcasting instead of being entertaining. No, that doesn't work, that's for sure.
They probably were listening, the streamers that were watching were probably listening to us saying, why are they talking about space?
Oh, well, you know, we try to educate people and share our thoughts while broadcasting.
As you do.
I'm really disappointed in the lack of wheel choices for this Porsche.
What, 18 on the front, 19 on the rear?
Well, yeah,
so
just
20 on the rear.
Just most of the wheels. I mean, I've got most of the wheels, but it's like 40-50% of them you can't use.
That's actually a donut bun. What? Do you know how you get like a hot dog bun, like your normal ones?
Wow, I can't believe that.
Imagine pink icing on top of it, and that's what I'm looking at right now.
Oh, so what's he bun? A T-bun.
What's he bun?
I think it's called a T-bun. If it's got pink icing on the top. Has it got coconut on top of the icing as well?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, usually the pink icing ones, they're the long,
But
like a long
white,
roll sort of. They're usually
got white.
ice.
Got white and pink. That's the icing.
I don't know. All I know is I should get up and go and make some cheese on toast or something.
I'm making 2-minute noodles.
Oh yeah, I could do that. But
I'm a cheap ass.
actually, you know, I've got party pies in the freezer. I could have them.
Ah, lucky.
I've also got a whole stack of lean cuisine meals that I could just heat up in 6 or 7 minutes. That are all so very yummy.
Got a question. Would you be doing the Down Under Endurance League?
Yeah, I'm actually in JD's team.
Oh,
Johnny and I are in his team.
So he's gone from me as the second driver, and he's gone into 4 cars now.
No, 3. Only 3.
Well, Professor Hidden said he's in it.
No, he's not. He's formed his own team with his dad.
So he lied about that to me, okay.
No. Well, okay. They announced their own team last Sunday.
Yes, I know, but when I was talking to Professor Hidden by himself, with me as well...
Yeah, when though?
Said
when?
I can't remember, my brain shit at remembering shit,
well,
but...
that's what I'm saying. So last Sunday is when they announced that he and his dad were creating their own team, because his dad started racing with us. So it could have been after he told you that he was joining. And it wasn't decided, by the way. JD was trying to work out who he wanted in the team.
He didn't ask me that.
Mm-hmm.
He just said, do you want Shadow Racing to join?
Yeah, but that would have
what
been...
I was trying to...
Yeah, hang on. Get your chronology right in your mind, right? He might have asked you that. Well, timing. He might have asked you at the start of the series, the Summer Down Under series. A lot has happened since then, right? So obviously with you and him not agreeing to be in the same team, you obviously then need to go and find somebody else.
Oh, I still wanted to be his teammate, but he didn't get that memo. I'm saying that as the nicest possible way, but... Well, trying to be, but... Hopefully you know what I mean by that. I just want someone to make a quick race lobby, but I haven't got
Well,
enough.
I'm gonna
Ow.
shut down my broadcast in a minute
No.
because I'm not really doing. I'm just mucking around with a livery, this redhead livery at the moment.
You could do ASMR eating on your broadcast.
My what? ASMR. ASMR.
Eating.
Oh right, okay. I don't think people want to hear that. But
Mate,
my
you come up with random stuff
but-
up all the time.
But my bigger concern is the lack of nice wheels to put on this car. At the
That
moment,
is very concerning.
At the moment, the nicest, because I'm doing a red Porsche, the nicest option are the three-piece Simmons look-alike wheels. Not even the BBS wheels that I love normally look good on it. And any solid wheel in red looks wrong, but because I'm doing a redhead livery, look, even these ones would look alright in white, but they don't look that great in red. I'm just blown away at the lack of wheel choices. You'd think this car would have a million options.
Not really. I'm GT Sport.
But there are a million wheel options here, it's just that this car doesn't have them available to it. I think I'm going to go back to the white wheel. Sadly, that's the best choice. Alright people, I'm not going to complete this livery during this broadcast because there's still a lot of things I need to do to it. But I hope you've enjoyed the broadcast. Didn't intend for it to go to 2 hours, but I hope for those of you that watched the start of it, you enjoyed seeing me do the campaign race to attain good credits. I hope you enjoyed the comparison between the full spec Porsche that I ran and the handicapped spec Porsche that I ran in the following race and the differences. I hope you found it interesting seeing me work on some liveries. I did want to show you more liveries, but I'm mindful of the time. I might do another broadcast later today and actually just focus on liveries. But I hope you've also enjoyed seeing me create this livery to the point that it's at, creating the match, creating those flames, finishing that decal, which was more of a challenge for a mate of mine than anything else. But I will continue working on this livery on a next broadcast. But for now,
I'll be back.
we'll say goodbye. Thanks very much for Shadow for joining us on the chat. If anybody wants to check out Shadow's YouTube channel, Shadow Racing, I believe, is that correct? That's the name of the channel?
No, it's my full name, Ethan R. Simons.
Okay,
Simons.
you say Simons, I always say Simmons, so I'm sorry, it's Simons, alright?
Yeah.
Ethan R. Simons, E-T-H-A-N R. Simons, and you'll find his YouTube channel if you want to check out his content. Alright folks, enjoy your day, your evening, and stay COVID safe, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.
Peace.
Peace and out.